This is awesome. I'm honored to be here. So my name is April Smith. I own Bear Clan Designs. And we're going to talk about the 4 medicines today, but I was just going to introduce myself. I am a member of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, and I am an herbalist trained at Cornell University, and I have about 17 years of experience developing curriculum, programming in the community, and about 10 years of experience managing restaurants. That actually was a very awesome time in my life. I not only survived a very male-dominated world, but I made a lot of change in a couple of restaurants, and I'm really proud of that. And I own Bear Clan Designs. I wrote a curriculum. Part of what I do for Bear Clan Designs is called Cooking by the 13 Moons, Indigenous Season of Food series. It is a hands-on cooking class. It's a monthly class. And we talk about the 13 moon system and how the Indigenous would have lived, historically, what they would have done, how they would have processed their foods for the winter. It's great curriculum. I love it. And then I also do plant medicine workshops. I'm your new auntie. That's how I present it. I love that logo. That's a cool logo. And my website, please check it out. I have the cooking class updates in there. I'm doing classes through Minneapolis Community Ed. And there are a couple events that I want to promote as well. I'm doing a partnership with Women's Environmental Institute. We're doing 2 classes with them, one in August, and we're going to talk about the 13 moon system. The menu is bison wild rice stuffed delicate squash and the blue corn meal wajabi. That's our August class. And then the October class, we are going to have a different menu and talk about what historically the Indigenous would have done in October. And you can find these registrations on the WEI website, the Women's Environment website. I am also so happy for this event. This is a wild rice processing event that I am doing in October. And this was 2 years in the making. I can't wait for this class. We have 3 Indigenous wild rice experts, and I'm going to do a small plant medicine workshop, and they will, I think it's an all day, I think it's like 5 hours, but they'll show us how to process wild rice. My contact, Derek Nicholas, he's gonna actually go ricing for this event and bring the green rice down and go through the process of how they basically you have to toast it and take off the shells, and he does that all. I am opening up 35 spots through the Minneapolis Community Ed, and hey, and you can register there if you want to attend the event. This is an awesome event. I can't wait for this. It's going to be amazing. So we are talking about the 4 sacred medicines. I had passed around the medicines earlier, and did everyone get a chance to look at them? So we are talking about tobacco, sage, cedar, and sweetgrass. And those are they're called the 4 sacred medicines in the Anishinaabe culture and in a lot of the other Indigenous cultures. I'm Anishinaabe, so I will talk about through my perspective and how I learned through my mentors and what they taught me. So tobacco is considered the first medicine. I think we have a jar out here somewhere if someone did not. Awesome. Does someone want to look at it? I can grab it real quick. And I think we have sweet grass on the front. Did you want to look at it? Thank And tobacco is considered the first medicine. It is used to, when we smudge, it is used to clean the environment of negative energy or negative spirits. And we smudge in, which I didn't bring, but we smudge in a shell, like a large, I don't know what kind of shell it is, but it's a beautiful big shell, and we smudge in that one. But when I smudge, I use tobacco, sage, and sweetgrass. When I smudge in the morning, I smudge every morning, and I smudge myself. And how I do that is, I'll just have it in, the tobacco or sage in the shell, and I just kind of wave it over me. And how I was taught is when we wave it over our body, those are where we're going to be protected. So we have to smudge through the top of our head all the way down. And I even smudge my feet. My mentor told me taught me to smudge my feet to protect our feet, because that's what carries us through the world. So we want to definitely protect our feet for that. Tobacco is used as a communication to the spirits. We believe that we can connect to our ancestors when we burn tobacco, and it is considered the first medicine because that was what the first medicine our ancestors gave to us and told us to use. We offer it to elders who we would like to do like a prayer or have an elder say something, and that is a sign of respect when we give it to them. Usually what I do is I kind of buy a packet. There's different types of tobacco out there. We use natural tobacco, not like commercial, like cigarette, already made cigarettes. They have a lot of chemicals in there. The natural tobacco, we don't use it, that doesn't have any of the chemicals in there. And then that's also smoked as well for like peace piping during ceremonies. Sage is the second sacred medicine, and that is used for purification. Then this is the sage right here. We tie it with a red yarn to symbolize strength, and this is actually how I've always received sage. I've never received it not tied, and that's kind of the symbol of strength, how we hold on to that. And sage is pretty amazing. I'm going to take this off. I don't want to interrupt any of the wiring. And traditional uses are to cleanse the space of just, the medicines do different things. So tobacco was to cleanse of negative energy, and sage is to cleanse the area and with more clarity, and you can have more clarity after you cleanse your area, and it releases also negative energy as well. And like I said, each medicine does something different. We use it a lot in ceremonial purposes. It's a very big tool for a lot of the ceremonies, and it is to wash away in the ceremony what you're wanting to basically take care of in that ceremony, what your wishes are. So sage is amazing. I absolutely, one of my best, one of my favorite medicines. This is actually what I smudge with every morning. And I really, it makes me feel like physically different. I really love that there's a couple studies out there that have proved that when you smudge, you're physically different after that. And the article was really interesting on how they determined those findings, but each person in this study had said that they did feel physically different after smudging, and I attest to that. I love that. So the next one is cedar. This one is amazing. And we can smudge with cedar and tobacco at the same time. And it is offering more of kind of a deeper emotional and spiritual cleanse. And it is considered a protection, purification, very, very used for healing. It's a very good medicine to heal emotionally. I actually, I use this a lot. I've been very busy lately and it's been kind of, emotional. So I've been actually using a lot of cedar lately to cleanse my area and cleanse my office. It does feel different and it makes me feel physically different. So I can really attest that it does make you feel more, it makes me feel more spiritual. I really love that. When cedar is placed in this my smudge bowl and it makes these crackling sounds, those sounds are representative of breaking through the spiritual wall so we can hear like the medicine working. This is kind of how cedar is, that we know it's working when it pops, we feel and we say that the spirits are working and they're coming through that spiritual wall. And I think I love how like Indigenous cultures are poetic almost, and it just makes me feel very special when I talk about these medicines, and I think that's part of that as well. I feel that we can connect to the ancestors, and it's a good thing that I'm sharing all of the medicines out. So that's how I feel about sharing the medicines. It's great. So the next one we were talking about is sweetgrass. Did I pass that out? Awesome. And this one is really special. So we tie these in braids. So when it's still in the ground, we tie them in braids, and it symbolizes each braid has 7 strands of grass, and each braid symbolizes. So there's 3 parts. The first strand represents the 7 generations, which is our ancestors, and the next 7 represents the sacred 7 grandfather teachings. I really love that. If you haven't heard about the 7 grandfather teachings in the Anishinaabe culture, I love that. It actually saved my life in 2022. I had a kind of an emotional breakdown, and I was afraid to lose my sobriety, and I didn't leave my house for 1 whole month. And what I did is I ended up researching and deep diving into the 7 grandfather teachings. And it talks about love. What are they? So they're love, wisdom, bravery. Somebody help me if you know. Okay, now I gotta check it. There they are. I should know. But James Bulklich is an Ojibwe author, and he just released a 7 grandfather teachings book, and it is awesome. It's actually who I researched a lot online, and I feel that he explains them in such a way that I resonated with them. So the 7 teachings are wisdom, love, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth. And the 7 teachings are basically our Bible on how to live. If we follow the 7 teachings, it is said that we will have a minimum medicinal, a good life. So this is one of the strands that they include in the in the sweetgrass.
What do you mean by it varies from nation to nation? Is that different species or is?
No, what it means is because different tribal nations were spread out. They had different regions, different languages, and just like how now gardening has different zones, that's kind of comparable to different nations having different, even different foods or different how they look at the world. Anishinaabe look at the 13 moons. Some Dakota and Lakota tribal nations will look at it seasonally. So it's just where their regions are, and not everyone is the same culturally or tribally. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. But
No? So there are different, so.
how does their view of sweetgrass vary? Is it
Oh.
the same?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
The teachings are different from regions. So, sweetgrass was found a lot within Minnesota, and historically this was a Dakota land. And they were pushed, west, and they ended up in North Dakota and South Dakota, but they look at it spiritually different. And they may not do the three braids, but if they do, it is more than likely different because they're a different tribe, and they just have, it's like, how Lutherans and Catholics are different. So it's just different how they use it and how they harvest it. Is that?
No, I get it.
Cool, okay. And then the third braid is healing. And so it is 7 braids in 7 pieces of grass in each, and that's how the sweetgrass is. And you just either you can cut off a little piece and put it in your smudge bowl, or you can just smudge it from the braid, which is what I did, but I haven't done it with this one yet.
I have a quick question for you. Do you
Please.
smudge cedar when it's fresh, or do you dry it?
You can do both, but I normally dry it. And this is what it, this was picked about 2 weeks ago. And I say this is a culinary grade because I kind of clean it a lot differently than I would like just a regular medicine. So I use this in some of my cooking, and I make tea with this. So I'm sorry, what was your question?
If you can use it fresh or dry.
If you can use it what?
Fresh or dry.
Fresh or dry. You can do either or. So it really, both ways will have that crackling sound because of the volatile oils that are in there, and that's what that crackling sound is the fire basically hitting the oils and burning the oil, and that's what that is. But we use it as it's a symbol of it's working, and that's how we know and share that it's working.
Do you try to harvest it in spring?
You can harvest it whenever there isn't, for the cedar, for the sweetgrass, it is spring. And for the tobacco, I think the tobacco's ready in the fall. So you can harvest that in the fall. And then sage you can harvest whenever. This is, where did I get this from? Oh, I usually get a lot of my medicines from Charlie Stately from the Indian Center. Have you been to the Indian Center? Charlie has a store that he has been at the Indian Center for like 40 years. So he does sells a lot of sewing and beading, crafting equipment, but he does a lot of medicines as well. I got the sage from him and the sweetgrass. I don't harvest these. I harvested the sage, but I did not harvest this. I did harvest the cedar. And how I clean this is I kind of quick, since it's culinary, I quick put it in water and then I use a toothbrush and I kind of just brush the leaves off, because when I use a culinary, I want to make sure all the little critters are off. But in this, you can use it as tea and smudging as well. And I used to make tea out of 3 of the 4 medicines. And the more I am researching, the more I am developing these relationships with these herbs, I'm realizing I can't just make a tea out of it and just use it as a beverage. So much knowledge has been kind of gleaned from the Indigenous community, none of the credit has been given back. And I don't want to add to it as a commercial beverage. And it is more of a medicine. It is, they are absolute, I shouldn't say more of medicine, they're absolute medicines. And they kept my ancestors alive for thousands of years. And I have to respect that more. So I was going to bring the medicines here today, but I can't. So I'm going to go forward and not make these as just commercial beverages. They are going to stay as medicinal compounds. And that's like deeper relationships with plants, and I really love that piece. And the sweetgrass, and it again, it just varies from nation to nation, and the teachings, the symbolic meaning of the Anishinaabe, of the braids, and oops, I didn't put that in there on the 1 and 2. I meant to put that in there of what the braids mean, and of how it's starting to be over harvested. And it's starting to, I shouldn't say starting, it's been for a while. It's just becoming more prevalent now that we're having a lot of social media. I get a lot of my herbs from Present Moments in Minneapolis, but they also, and a lot of other Indigenous people do this in the community too, sell the sacred medicines. And we're technically not supposed to sell them. We're not supposed to profit off of them. We're supposed to give them away. And I kind of had an issue with Present Moments when it does do that, but I also have to realize times are changing, and it's a big conversation in the Native community now that we kind of have to change with the times about how some of our spiritual practices are changing because we have social media. We have Present Moments that are selling some of the sacred medicines. So there's a large conversation happening in the Native community on how we should change with the times as well. And it's a really interesting conversation.
If I could just say something,
Mhm.
I think living in Minnesota, I want to learn more about Indigenous culture. So I think to be able to buy a product that would allow me to feel that, I would be really grateful for that. And same with learning the food and how did Indigenous people cultivate and what do they make from food that grows in Minnesota. That's just my perspective. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing this. I was mentioning before class that I used to work at the University of Minnesota Extension, and last summer we ended up losing our jobs because of the SNAP funding cuts that happened with the administration. We were getting paid through the USDA Farm Bill, and our department was completely eliminated because of that funding. And I couldn't imagine not doing this. I couldn't imagine getting an office herbalist job and sitting at a desk, and not many people are hiring herbalists. So I had to start my own business. I feel that this was the right move because I am pleasantly shocked at how many agencies and people want this type of information, and how a lot of people feel that they're going to need this information very soon. And part of my curriculum is also covers gardening and how the Indigenous gardens and like their three sisters garden, how that they basically survived through that through winter. So yeah, I love doing this. I couldn't imagine not doing this. And these are the things that I love talking about. Yeah.
So I have land in northern Minnesota, and I just discovered a few years ago sweetgrass roasting, which was very like wonderful. But like I've never sold it, and I don't plan to. But is there something I should do to like?
You could cut it and just give it away as
That's
medicine.
what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. Sweetgrass is actually one of the harder medicines to find. And people who do have it are selling it because it's one of the harder medicines to find. So you're doing the exact right thing. Is we're supposed to be donating and giving away the medicines so people can enjoy them because it's a tough time right now. And that's so awesome that you're doing that. Please continue to do that. How big is it? That's so awesome.
Yeah, there's a few patches. It happened after we had like a couple years of drought. You know, we never saw it then, and then we got some rain and it came back. And so I had never noticed it before until we got the rain. Because it just
explode?
moisture than some of the other grasses.
You definitely can tell that it's different than the other grasses. That's really cool.
What is it?
Sweetgrass.
Oh, okay.
It's sweetgrass, yeah, it's this and there, yeah, like I was saying that it's just harder to find because of construction. A lot of the places my mom was from Red Lake Nation, and all of her secret spots of the blueberries and her sage spots, and she had an asparagus spot, a wild asparagus. They're all gone. They're all gone from building and clearing woods but yeah, so if you had that, that's a very sacred, awesome spot. That's cool. Yeah.
What about transplanting, propagating? Is that possible? But
You
like
can.
yeah.
You can. I've heard of people doing that. White sage is the sage that you mostly see in the stores, and those are mountain sage. That's the sage that's being over harvested. And a lot of people in the community are doing that. Is when they find patches, they will take a patch and bring it with them and replant it. And actually, some other groups in the Red Lake Nation have these special gardening groups, and a lot of people are doing that with like purslane and what's the other it's like the wild chamomile. It's that
Pineapple.
yeah, the pineapple weed. They're digging those up and they're replanting them in cleaner soil. You have to let them grow through a season and not use them through the season, so they kind of they get rid of their poison from the other place wherever they were. But a lot of people are doing that. They're replanting and using that in their own lands. I think that's smart. That's awesome.
But do you think sweetgrass specifically could handle that, or it likes to stay?
That's a little above my pay grade, but I would think that it would. All plants have a tough time transitioning from being replanted, but it depends if it's a stronger plant, if it's older, it could handle that transition, but if it were younger, I don't think it probably. But if it were an older one, I think.
Gardening tip, if you're watering them, put some rescue remedy into the water,
But what?
rescue remedy into the water, flower essence version of it. Really helps with plants that shock.
Rescue remedy, like the little drops?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What does it do?
It helps them adapt to the transplant shock,
Oh,
just like a human being does.
calms down plants too.
Yeah, I've got a mixture of flowers that I use for all my gardening plants.
How many drops do you use?
Well, for a gallon of water, just put like maybe about 10 drops or so.
That's cool.
But I've noticed that, you know, if you just tune into the energy of the plants, every time that you water them with flowers like that, you can just feel like, oh yeah, you know.
Do you use it for seeds?
Hmm?
Do you use it for seeds too?
You could probably use it for seeds, you know, just kind of like, you know, as you're just getting ready to sprout them. Put some drops in the water. Yeah.
What's in the rescue? I forgot. I used to actually give that to my son when he was, you know, like
Yeah,
10. Well, I don't remember what's in there though. Like,
It's got 5 different remedies.
oh,
Lock kit, and they're all basically shock and trauma type remedies.
that's really cool. That's a good tip. How did you find that out?
That's what he does.
Yeah.
You just experimented and you thought that would work?
So, you know, flowers is lemon bells.
Have you tried ashwagandha?
I have not, no.
I wonder what that would do. That's really interesting. But I guess it would work.
Yeah, but instantly you could just feel the plants respond to the water and like that.
Oh, that's really cool. You can see them come alive. That's awesome.
Other happens.
That's really neat. Does anybody else have any questions?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to ask this in a simple way, but I guess I'm wondering, like, among these 4, I guess somebody who's like European descended. My actual like experience with them is that some of these plants are like more willing to be for me coming from a different lineage, and some of them are maybe less, or that just like that there's not one relationship to be had with the different
Right.
plants, that like
Yeah.
they actually like that whether or not my people have a relationship historically, like whether or not my lineage is also in relationship with this plant makes a difference as to how I'm going to be able to be in relationship with the plant. So I guess I'm just thinking about them, like, set that question and how the different plants are different from each other with respect to whether like they're for me or less so, or differently, I guess.
I'm glad you asked that, because I didn't think to cover that. So basically, what you're asking is, should you use these or not, or can you use these?
Yeah, and being maybe distinct between them, because I think,
Yeah, so as far as using them, I have, my opinion used to be very different from when I was younger. When I was younger, I was kind of told to keep this information secret. Don't tell anybody, and we shouldn't really tell people what the medicines are for. That attitude, unfortunately, came from the boarding school era, and where my elders would be jailed for speaking their language. And that's kind of where that came from. We're not supposed to tell people about this. That's fear from that boarding school era. Now I realize that's where that came from. And I think that as long as you respect the plants and you use them how they're supposed to be used and in a respectful way, then anybody can use them, because they are, I I believe in these plants in my soul. And I know that they are there to take away negative energy and to build us up. And it cannot just be for one people.
Mhm.
And so I feel that that they're okay to use as long as you know where they are, what the respect from that is. And just follow just the respect of that. But I don't think people should not use them because of that. Yeah, thank you for asking that. I get that all the time. That and powwows. Can I go to powwows? And absolutely, yes. People are uncomfortable going to a powwow because they've maybe never been there before and they kind of don't know protocol. But yes, go. They're beautiful events, and the regalia that everyone wears is specific to them and that type of regalia. And I think it's beautiful. I all of that earlier things of keeping it quiet was unfortunately from not wanting to be in trouble for speaking their own language.
Yeah, and it's similar way in the Western cultures. European stuff. Even like herbal knowledge could guide the birth. So I mean, this whole idea of the orthodoxy wanting to suppress the healing knowledge is kind of worldwide. It's not just.
I've recently I found that out in the last few years. One of my former colleagues was from Mexico, and she had said the same thing, that they kind of were colonized a few hundred years ago.
I figure the earth is under enough danger right now, and humanity does not have a long time in order to figure this stuff out. So we want to go to shell out.
Seriously. That's what I mean when a lot of people in the community feel that we're gonna need this information really soon. And I really feel that too, that we gotta get this information down, and how to forage too. You were talking about foraging classes, you can't have enough plant medicine workshops or plant medicine walks. I love those. Those are awesome. Anyone else have any other questions? Well, I want to be respectful of your time, because I didn't bring the teas of the medicines. We're just talking more about the relationships. That because a lot of things were gleaned from the community, I don't want to continue that. So that was one of the reasons why I stopped the tea. But I really feel that these medicines are for everyone. And as long as you respect them and know where they came from, you can totally use them. I feel that.
Yeah.
Did you have-
Well, I just also want to say, and them being for us doesn't mean we get to have a whole shelf full of them in our, it doesn't. And we can have them be for us by like visiting Corinne's place and sitting with them and then not picking them and taking them with them and selling them when we're done, but just actually like being in relation, like the relationship is.
And I really love how I have to explain that to some people about the relationship. Like, we kind of know that relationship with plants. I have relationships with, all these like about 10 plants that I'm really trying to learn and research and study. And so I know that what I'm giving you information on is correct. And my four sacred medicines are one of them. And I feel that they are, everyone can use some cleansing of some negative space and negative energy. And I feel it's just the respect and your relationship with it. And I've built very strong relationships with my herbs, and they do communicate with me. It's kind of cool. It's an emotion that they send. And yeah, I think as long as you have a relationship with them as well. And I I guess I wouldn't use anything that I don't know. You know, I would have to research it a little bit more and, but yeah, it is definitely that connection. That how it's going to help you, but that there is definitely a connection with the plants that people should have. So smudging, have you all smudged? Awesome. It is really just, it's the smoke that brings that medicine. It is said to be a messenger, that the smoke is our thoughts and prayers, and they go up to the creator, and that's how the creator hears them. And that's really awesome. I love smudging every morning. It does really, and when I don't, I travel for work, and when I don't smudge, because I'm in hotels or something, it does actually change my day. And it does really have a big influence. So you can smudge with all of them. So each of it does different things. So, you know, the tobacco is associated with prayer and communication. Cedar is used for protection and grounding. The sage is the cleansing, and I smudge with sage and tobacco every day. Not, you know, not together, but we do those separately. And the sweetgrass is associated with positive energy and kindness. And so they all do different things within you know, your body, and it does make physical changes. I'm convinced that they do make physical changes with us. I would seal this in here when I talk about herbs. And because I didn't bring the teas, the medicines for teas, I brought a couple. I brought a ginger tea and a hibiscus and cinnamon. And this is the medicinal benefits of the ginger tea. I've been drinking ginger along with hibiscus, and last few months it helps to lower blood pressure and your bad cholesterol. And of course, always please consider your medications if you want to add these to your everyday lives. And then this hibiscus and cinnamon. And this is the one I've been using for a couple months now. I went to the doctor and my A1C level was a little high, so he gave me 3 months to lower it. Otherwise, he's gonna put me on medicine, and I refuse to go on diabetes medicine. So I am lowering my A1C level, and I can actually feel a difference from when I started and now. The reason why I went to the doctor is because one day, well, I love ice cream and I eat it a lot, but one day after eating it, I just had this strange feeling and it didn't sit well in my body. And my friend has a monitor, and I went over to her house and she poked my finger and my blood sugar was about 200. And so that's when I realized I had to go to the doctor. Then I changed my eating, and I use a lot of the cinnamon, the hibiscus and cinnamon now to help lower those. And I really can make and feel a difference. So I know I've made a difference. So there is my website, my email, and my Facebook page. I do a lot of advertising on my Facebook. My Instagram is Bear Clan Designs, and I need to be more on that, but I'm pretty active on Facebook, and I share a lot of my classes on there. Yes, does anybody have any other questions? What plants do you all use? Let's what do you do? Let's do the last couple minutes of that. Does anybody have a routine that they usually do?
Dandelion.
Dandelion? And how long have you been doing that?
Well, I made some oil with the flowers, and then I've been like
Oh, cool.
rubbing it on my body.
Nice.
And then I take a bath. And I've had this image with the dandelion flower was like big and it was like kissing me. So it's very sweet.
Oh, that's awesome. It's just like totally all okay. Who else has their routine?
Well, I just have a seasonal one, in which right now I've been harvesting stinging nettle first in the spring.
And it's in season now.
Yeah, before it gets too big.
So I follow Linda Black Elk. And do you all know Linda Black Elk?
She came here before.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome. I super love her. I was on a plant walk with her and the Black Forager. Do you know the Black Forager? They were in town, I think 2 years ago. And it was during the nettle season and Linda was having some problems with my hand and she grabbed the nettles, just kind of it was a younger shoot. And she just kind of whipped my hand and she whipped it on the knuckles, on my fingers and then on the hand. And then she did kind of the back of my hand and then my palm. But it numbed up after that. So if you whip your hand, like if you have arthritis or wherever your pain is, the stingers have that medicine on them and that will poke into your skin and make your skin numb from that. I love that. So if you have arthritis, that helps. If you see some stinging nettles, just put your hand in there and do this. I mean, they sting and it hurts, but you'll be numb after a while. You won't feel it. What else? Does everybody else have anything they want to share?
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Could you say more about the 13 moons?
Sure, yeah. So historically, tribal nations ran on a 13-moon system. And if you can imagine, because it's really hard, if you can imagine a time when there was no clocks, no calendars, and it was actually, it's kind of hard to imagine that because we run on clocks so much, but every moon is named after what is happening in nature. And nature gave the indigenous signs to when things were ready, when to plant, when the lakes were thawing, when spring was coming. So the way January starts our year, in the 13 moons, it ends in. So our first moon is March. And March is Spirit. Is it Spirit month? I have it right here. This is my presentation from one of my partners. So I'm Anishinaabe, and this is the 13 moons from the Anishinaabe. And the turtle represents part of our creation story of how 13 moons came about, how Turtle Island came about. And if you look at a very large turtle, these sections on their back is there. The sections in the middle represent the months, and the sections around the turtle represent 28 days. So technically, there are 13 moons. There are not 12. And technically, we have 28 days in each moon. And oh no, I was wrong. Hard crest on the snow moon. And so each moon is named after what is happening in that month to give the indigenous ideas of what's going to happen. So hard crest on the snow moon means that we're coming out of winter And we are starting a spring, so there is snow on the ground still. And during the day, there is sun out and it will melt the top layer of snow. And then at night again, it freezes it. So that's why it was named Hard Crust on the Snow Moon, because that was the big happening that we are coming out of winter, coming into spring. The end of winter was pretty tough on the Indigenous because they had to process all of their foods for the winter. And if they didn't process enough foods, they would starve. And a lot of tribal nations did pretty much know what they needed to process in order to bring them through the winter, but sometimes it didn't always work. So winter was really hard on the Indigenous. Transitioning into spring was easier because they were able to have fresh foods. The 13th moon is the 12th moon is spirit moon is January. The 13th moon, that is February. And suckerfish moon is when the fish start waking up from winter. So January, February would be about when the streams and rivers thawed out enough where the fish started moving. And that would have been the first fresh food the Indigenous had all winter. So everything was dried and they were stored. So the suckerfish would have been their first fresh fish, the first fresh food. And towards the end of winter, they were probably not, didn't have a lot of nutrients from food or a lot less food. So they had clues of when they knew when fresh food was coming. So the second moon is maple syrup, boiling moon, and that's when we're coming out of winter more, and the maple trees were thawing out and they were tapping them enough where they, dripped the sap. And they made maple syrup. That was the month when they made maple syrup. Leaf budding moon is kind of right around now. We just left that moon and we're into the blossoming moon. And the leaf budding is when, the leaves and all of the herbs are just starting to bud. And the blossoming moon is when all of the blossoms are coming out now. And we can see them out on some of the trees and it's really cool. But these are those subtle hints that nature would give the Indigenous to tell them things would happen. And my two favorite months are strawberry moon and berry moon. And that is June and July. Strawberries are not just food in the Indigenous culture, it is a really big medicine for young girls. And it basically talks about how you can use that for the girls for their moons and their systems. And the berry moon is July, and berries and strawberries are very important food in Anishinaabe culture. We look at those as superfoods, and they are really superfoods. And again, that would have actually been the first fresh fruit that the Anishinaabe would have had getting out of winter. So all of these are different names for what's happening. August is ricing moon. That's when the wild rice is ready to be harvested. And changing leaves moon, that's going into fall, and the colors are changing. Falling leaves moon and more of October, and November is freezing moon. And then little spirit moon is December, spirit moon is January, and suckerfish moon is February. Yeah, that's part of the things that I do in my curriculum. And we talk a lot about in the months, how would they live? You know, like for the early spring, they're regaining their strength, so they're trying to eat as much as possible for the fresh foods. And then summer and fall, they use those two seasons to prep and prepare their foods for the winter. And they're using the springtime historically now to regain all their strength from the winter. So thanks for that. I don't know about that. Yeah. Hmm? Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, we're 6 over minutes, so sorry about that.
No, we're good, we're good.
Anybody have anything else? Cool. Oh, thank you very much. Please, I can do this all day long.
Are all your classes on your website? Or you have to go to the different?
The link will be, but I'm actually updating my website tomorrow, so it'll be everything will be ready tomorrow. So all my links will be ready in there. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.